Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for December 18th of 2023, and currently we have a moderate threat for the New England corridor for Maine into New Hampshire, with a fairly large slight risk that does extend into eastern New York, and then we also do have a marginal threat for a very large portion of California into southern Oregon, mainly along the coast and northern California into the southern coast of Oregon. For tomorrow, we will have a marginal threat for the coastal regions of northern California into the more inland areas of northern California. And then for day three outlook, we are going to see that flash flooding risk shift down in the south, just south of the San Francisco Bay. Down to Los Angeles and south of Los Angeles. And then for winter weather for today, we are expected to see quite a bit of heavy snow for the Ohio River Valley into parts of the New England corridor, for the upper peninsula of Michigan, the coastal regions of Lake Michigan, across Michigan and northern Indiana, as well as the coastal regions of Lake Erie, as well as across West Virginia into southern Pennsylvania, just right next to the Appalachian Mountains. And then for tomorrow, we are expected to see quite a bit of heavy snow accumulate on some of the more of the upper regions of California, in the more mountainous regions in eastern California. And then we are expected to see that continue into day three. The reason I'm not starting off with our severe weather outlook is because currently we don't have any areas for flash flooding or for severe thunderstorms that we're going to be going over. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do. Um, there's not really a lot I'm going to be going over. You can see that we do have a marginal threat for southern Massachusetts into Rhode Island. However, this was removed with the most recent SBC outlook, which was just a couple minutes ago, so hopefully this should update at some point through the video. What we're going to be focusing on in this video is going to be the flash flooding potential for the New England corridor through Maine into New Hampshire. Let me actually turn on our warnings really quickly, and you're gonna see that's something that's kind of just gonna blow your mind. You can see across the New England corridor into Canada, we just have a ton of flood warnings across the New England corridor, all the way from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, into Maine, as well as into Canada. Originally, I wasn't planning on making a video, so I am a little bit ill prepared, and sorry if I don't really sound that prepared for a video. That's because I wasn't planning on making a video today, but after I saw this, I thought that I should come on here and at least cover it somewhat. So we're going to be going over the flash flooding threat mostly. Again, we're going to be following that nor'easter as it moves out into the Atlantic Ocean. This is going to be its last day impacting the United States, and then we are expected to see some impacts from this trough behind it. This isn't really expected to bring all that many crazy impacts, but it may bring the possibility of some snow to a very large portion of the Ohio River Valley into some of the New England corridor, as that low pressure system circles back just behind that low pressure system, or that nor'easter, as it races off into the Atlantic Ocean. Um, and then we are also seeing a couple of impacts due to this low pressure system that's kind of just been sitting outside of or off the coast of California. This is expected to shift down to the south a little bit and advance a little bit more towards the south by tomorrow. But again, we are seeing quite a bit of rain come out of that across California into southern Oregon, as well as the possibility of flash flooding. And we are expected to see that continue for the next couple of days. Um, so yeah, that's mainly what we're going to be going over in today's forecast. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be going over the when and where you should be able to see our rain showers, when they are expected to clear out, as well as when you are expected to see these snowstorms begin to impact any region across the Ohio River Valley in the New England corridor. So as of right now, we are seeing quite a bit of snowfall due to that low pressure system. We are seeing snowfall across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky. Possibly a couple flurries may extend down into eastern Tennessee, but overall should stay mostly to the north of Tennessee. And a lot of these snow showers are being stopped by the Appalachian Mountains as they are closer down to the surface and aren't really able to get above those Appalachian Mountains. So they kind of are just stopping there. So don't really expect any snowfall to get past them into some of the more lower areas to the east of the Appalachian Mountains. So don't really expect any snow if you live in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, um, Maryland, or anywhere to the east of the Appalachian Mountains. And again, you can see very, very widespread rainfall, very heavy rainfall, and very long-lasting rainfall. We are expected to see that rainfall continue as it moves into Canada. Um, and then we may be able to see a little bit of rainfall linger in New York as the main low pressure system races off into Canada. So as that clears out, we are expected to see it mainly clear out into New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine with some lingering rain showers around 7 p.m. And then the majority of it should clear out around 12 a.m. or um, uh, midnight to night. And then we are expected to see quite a bit of snowfall behind that around the Appalachian region. Taking a look at our total precipitation accumulation, keep in mind that this does take into account snow and rainfall. So if you're seeing all this green associated with all that rainfall or all that snowfall to the west of the Appalachian Mountains, don't really be too concerned about that. We're going to be primarily focusing on this moderate threat area for flash flooding. You can see that we are expected to see a ton of rainfall come down from this low pressure system across the moderate threat area. We could possibly see upwards of 2 to 3 inches in the moderate threat area alone just today. So again, we are expected to see a ton of rainfall across the New England corridor. So because of that, we are expected to see the possibility, a fairly good possibility of flash flooding across this region, as we already have a ton of flash flooding and flood warnings across that area. So again, definitely make sure you're staying weather alert if you live in any of the affected areas. We are expected to see a ton of rainfall. If you do notice that water may be starting to rise around your area, get to higher ground immediately. Don't let the rain around you bother you. It is much better than drowning. And if you encounter a flooded road, don't attempt to drive through it. You don't know how deep it is, and overall, it's just a terrible decision. And so just turn around and don't drown. You guys have to be taking necessary precautions if you live in any of the areas that could potentially be impacted by flash flooding for today. Taking a look at our wind gust models, we are expected to see some fairly windy impacts across the New England corridor, as well as along the coast. We are expected to see wind gusts not only ashore across Maine that could reach upwards of 60 miles per hour, but also offshore, where we could see the possibility of some coastal flooding due to how strong these winds are, um, upwards of um, upwards of 60 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour. And we also do have a hurricane force wind warning along some of the coastal regions of Maine. So again, we are expected to see very, very strong winds with this nor'easter. Um, and again, some wind gusts could possibly be greater than 60 miles per hour, in possibly greater than 70 miles per hour along the more coastal regions. So if you live in any of the areas that could potentially be affected by damaging winds, make sure you're strapping down any loose items outside that you don't want to lose. We can also just quickly take a look at the amount of snowfall that we are expected to see for today into tomorrow. You can see that we are expected to have overall the average is probably going to be less than an inch across the Ohio River Valley, and you see a lot of that snow may be lake effect as well, but a lot of it should be coming out of that low pressure system. You can see closer to the Great Lakes around some of the eastern or southeastern coastal regions of the Great Lakes. We could see upwards of upwards of 6 inches in some of the close proximity areas to the Great Lakes. So again, the average widespread across the area, the general area that is expected to see snowfall, is probably going to be around less than an inch, with some areas possibly getting upwards of 3 to 6 inches. So some areas could definitely see much more snowfall than others. That's all I really had to cover for today. So now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas I covered for today, please stay where they live for the time being. If you notice anything might have been wrong with this forecast, or you'd like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. I do read them. Two other channels that I highly suggest you check out are One Nation Weather and Weather Watcher. And hopefully I should be able to see you guys on Wednesday with a Wednesday update.